Today we are going to talk about radius, diameter, and circumference and the relationship that those three things have with each other. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any of my math videos. Okay, so let's just talk about the definition of those three things. If we have a circle, the radius of that circle is from the center on out to one of the edges. It's that distance. So you could find the radius like this, it could be like this, it could be like this. There's an infinite amount of lines I can make, but it's just from the center on out to the edge of the circle. It's that distance. The diameter goes all the way across the circle, and you want to make sure the diameter goes through the center. The diameter would not be like that. We want it to go all the way through. It's the longest line we can make. So this would be the diameter, this would be the diameter, this would be the diameter. It's all the way across. The diameter is double the radius, and the radius is half the size of the diameter. Okay, the other one that I mentioned is called circumference. Circumference is the distance all around the entire circle. So this, all the way around, would be called the circumference. It's the distance around the circle. Okay, we are going to practice finding the radius, diameter, and circumference of a couple objects. I am going to quickly make a table so it becomes more easy for you. Okay, if I am looking at just a circle and I want to find the diameter and the radius, I'm going to try and go through that center and go all the way across to see how long that is. Today I'm going to measure in centimeters because this object's pretty small. If it were quite a bit larger, I would probably go with inches. Okay, so centimeters. This looks like this blue circle is about 8.5 centimeters all the way across, which would be its diameter. So instead of trying to measure the radius, I'm just going to cut the diameter in half. So half of 8 is 4. And if you think of 0.5 like 50 cents, half of 50 cents is 25 cents, or 0.25. Okay, now I'm going to try and measure the circumference of this blue circle. So instead of my ruler wrapping all around, I'm going to use a piece of string. Okay, this is about how long it is to go all the way around the blue circle. And I'm going to keep with centimeters because that's what I did the radius and diameter with. So this piece of string, about 29 centimeters. Okay, now we're going to measure a basketball. So this is a three-dimensional sphere, and it's kind of hard for me to gauge exactly what the diameter and the radius is, so I'm just going to estimate for you. So I'm trying to see all the way from one end to the other of the basketball is about, I would say close to 12 centimeters, very close. That would mean that the radius just halfway across this basketball would be about 6 centimeters. Okay, on to the circumference. So I'm going to take this string and I'm going to wrap it all the way around this basketball. Okay. It is about 41 centimeters. Okay, the last object that I'm going to do is a paint can. Okay, so all the way across, the diameter of this cylinder is 16.5 centimeters. So half of that would be the radius. Half of 16 is 8. And just like before, half of 0.5 or 50 cents is 0.25 or 25 cents. Now I need to measure the circumference. So I'm going to again use my piece of string and then hold it up to my yardstick. Okay, it's about this long all the way across, which is about 53 centimeters. Okay, I want you to look at this chart and see if we can figure out what the relationship is from the radius to diameter, or the diameter to the circumference, or any relationship that you can gather. Okay, we've already talked about how radius times 2 would give us diameter, or diameter divided by 2 would give us radius. But let's look at the circumference. Let's compare the diameter and the circumference. So I'm going to round this to about 9. I'm just going to round up. So 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 3 is 27. 9 times 4 is 36. So this is kind of close to 9 times 3. And let's look at this one. 12 times 3 is 36. 12 times 4 is 48. So it's kind of in between 3 and 4. And let's see, 16 times 2 is 32, or I can round up to 17. 17 times 3 is 51, so that's really close to that. 17 times 4, 68. Okay, so it looks like if you take our diameter and multiply it by 3, it's really, really close to getting the circumference. And that is actually very true. The formula says if you take the diameter of an object and you multiply it by the number pi is very, very close to 3.14. It's just a little above 3. It's actually a number that goes on and on and on forever. But you should always get the circumference. So I just want to practice 2 quick problems with you. So if you don't have an object to measure with string and a ruler, you could still find the circumference just using the formula. Okay, so here's the formula. We have diameter times pi gives us the circumference, and just a shorter way to write that is pi d equals c. They usually always write the number out in front, and pi is considered a number, and then we have our variable, which is our letter, and then equals our other variable, which is c, and that means circumference. So let's just do quick examples. Let's pretend we have a random shape and we know the diameter is 7. So first example, diameter equals 7. So I'm going to take 7 and let's pretend it's in feet. And I am just going to take that 7 and multiply by pi. I always like to use the pi button on the calculator because it's the most accurate, but you could always use 3.14 if you want to. So I'm going to take 7 times pi, and I get 21.9914858. It goes on and on. So I'm just going to round it to the nearest tenth. So 21.99 would round that up to 22. So this would be about 22 feet. That is the circumference if you had an object that had a diameter of 7. Let's do one more. Let's pretend this time we didn't know the diameter, but we knew the radius was 10. Okay, so in our heads, we don't really want to know the radius for this formula. We want to know the diameter. So I'm going to double the radius right away. So I know 10 doubled is going to equal 20. Okay, so I'm going to take 20 and multiply it by pi. 20 times pi, and I get a big long number. I'm going to round it to the nearest tenth, and I'm going to get 62.8. And we can pretend everything is in feet. So that means if I had a random object and the radius was 10, the distance around the circle would be 62.8. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I hope that helps you feel more comfortable with radius, diameter, and circumference. Don't forget to subscribe to my videos, and I will keep making more for you. Bye.